one's going. Two brothers passing in the night. Two brothers, one lost, the other resentful. Well, now that's not quite right. Both lost, both resentful. The younger resents his status as the junior member of the family, destined for a limited inheritance. And he tests his father's graces, taking that which does not belong to him, asking for inheritance which can only be offered to him if his father is dead. Inheritance, the majority of which is rightfully his brother's. And he leaves. What a scandal. Going down to Egypt, going off to Babylon, going into the big city. He takes on strange customs, spends not only his time there, but his identity. Spending not only his money bleeding those coins, but bleeding his very lifeblood. Giving away his identity in gobs as he lives the good life. A life his father never would understand, or so he believes. He drains the bank account, and with it his very life force, his vitality, his soul, until he finds himself in the gutter. The fine clothing he bought smeared with the muck of the street, the seal of his house pawned long ago for a simple meal, or maybe a fix. His sandals split with walking aimlessly about. His stomach, like so many of those around him there in the gutter of life, rumbling with hunger. He works as a foreign laborer, paid under the table, paid less than a citizen of that country. He works with pigs, demeaning himself still further, empty, alone, and now unclean to the hilt. So empty, he's eating the food of creatures who will become unclean food. He begs. He begs there far off. But no one gave him anything. Isn't that sad? In times of famine, he has no family to take him in. In times of want, no one wants him. He's an outsider of the wrong background, from the wrong country, a foreigner participating in the vices of their country, the moral underground of their nation. No one gave him anything, and he is dying of hunger. And as he watches the pigs snorting in the slough, abandoned by everyone in the society he has chosen to associate with, the one he's immigrated to and thrown all his money at, it only spits him back out. In the mess of all that, he remembers. He remembers he was a son. He thinks, maybe he could be again, or at least a hired hand. No more honored at home than there, but at least he'd be home. Home where someone just might give him something. Maybe the better beasts of their soul might pull compassion out of the people of the same country. Maybe a poor man would be honored. Maybe honored at home, if not abroad. And so he goes. The soles of his sandals worn the outside to match the disposition of his soul worn on the inside. So threadbare, they are useless. He prepares his pitch, asking his father for a job after having taken his money. Kind of humiliating, right? A pitch. The poor are particularly good at the pitch, not because they're more crafty or clever than anyone else, but because it's a matter of life and death. The pitch is the difference between life and death for the poor. But thanks be to God, the pitch, the humiliation of asking, dies in his mouth. His father runs like a Scotsman in a kilt. It's rather unseemly, in case you didn't get the image in your head. He runs and he kisses him, calling him back into the family. He clothes him, covering his shame. The father shaming himself to spare his son suffering. Stained clothing replaced. Family sigil returned to his ring finger. Soul of sandal and soul of son repaired and returned. The father shamed a second time. The first as his younger son leaves. The second when his younger son returns. But no matter. His child who was dead is alive. His son who sold himself into slavery has become son again. How can he but celebrate? How could he not return his son to the community with a party that would restore him to his proper place, to his home? How indeed. The elder brother has a different answer. The elder brother thinks differently of the whole situation. He was undercut, after all, by the younger from the start. His property properly stolen by that son of his father. His younger brother had made him to be Esau, to be Ishmael, to be the dispossessed older son, to lose his inheritance, to diminish the family. And in response, he soldiered on, that first son, each step with the plow, each time he breaks up that hard ground, each time he looks and sees his father staring out off towards that foreign land. It not only breaks his heart, it breeds resentment. It poisons his mind. Why don't you look at me, Dad? Why don't you long for me like that, Dad? Look, Dad, I'm doing the work he wouldn't do. What he doesn't understand is what his brother, that son of his father, is going through. He doesn't know what it's like to be lost. Or maybe again I speak too soon. Maybe he does know what it's like to be lost. For he is losing his connection to his Father too. The resentment of staying can slaughter the soul as well. Staying, enslaving away, doing those things that need to be done. Those proper things that sons do. Working the land he will one day inherit. Working what was given to his younger brother. Working like a slave. Working for a wage. His inheritance. A hired hand on his own land. Resentment can lose you just as readily as desolate living ever would. Shackled to responsibility. Being the good son. Being the one who gets things done. It can sour the soul and make you believe you're earning that love. Buying that inheritance. It can make you insist that something is yours as fully and wrongly and gratuitously as your younger brother insisted that half of the inheritance was his. This moulders in his chest, doing it right, doing it right. Doing it right until he is ripe for that moment when that song swells out of the field, out onto that field, into that field. He hears it. A party. Perhaps it's for me, for all I have done. And he gets there. Oh God, he gets there. He gets there and is socked in the stomach by that slave who announces the happy return of that other son. And he balks. He refuses the feast. Yet another insult to his father, the host. The host is shamed again, having to leave his guests to sell the soul of that sulking son. The guests, they watch from afar as this son, this older son, rips into the father. He wanted you dead. And you gave him the inheritance and sent him off whoring. I've toiled, Father, for all I have. I've never asked for anything, Father. I've never got a party like this, Father. I've never broken the rules, Father. But that sinner, that son of yours, gets it all. You pour out yourself for him, Father. You give him chance after chance, Father, but it feels like I only got one chance with you. And I had to work for it. And his father responds, "You're my son. And he's my son. I gave you everything you ever asked for. And I gave him everything he ever asked for. You've stayed here with me, abiding with me. Look at the life you've had. That you live. You live with me. You abide with me. You reside with me. Be thankful for that. See it for what it is. See the bounty of all of this. That is yours. All that is mine. Yours. As for your brother, he was loved. He was dead to us. He's returned to us. He's